Hello, my name is Kaela Kellogg, and I'm a young published fiction writer from New York City. Last fall, I had the honor to interview 6 incredible women as part of a senior project, and today, for International Women's Day, I'm here to share their stories with you. Common threads. What makes a successful woman? Successful women are marked by their remarkable sense of self, their ability to maintain a balance between the many demands placed on them, and the clarity, flexibility, and aspiration of their personal definitions of success. This fall, I interviewed 6 successful women from a diverse range of fields in order to learn their stories and look for the common thread shared between them. I have found that they are masters at adaptability and thriving in the midst of chaos, conflict, and struggle. Their clarity on their values, skill sets, desires, and the necessities of their chosen professions serves as a guidepost for them through the strongest storms. They embrace the complexities of their work, approach the world with tenacity, and pursue continuous growth, even as they seek to lead a balanced life. As a young woman just setting out on my path, I had the privilege of talking with an investment banker, a fantasy author, an auction house ambassador, a literary educator, an animator turned sculptor, and an insurance chief information officer. The breadth of their experiences, definitions of success, and shared lessons have provided an inspiring portrait of what women have created and what I may aspire to. Linda Gridley is perhaps the ideal model of societal expectations for a successful woman. A 30-year Wall Street veteran, she is an investment banker and partner at AGC with a focus on digital media, and the founder of Gridley and Company LLC. She is hardworking, grounded, and a clear goal setter. Alongside her impressive business career, she balances a personal and home life, raising a family, managing her work, and still finding time for personal care and golfing. Her personal definition of success is being fulfilled in her chosen career and having a good work-life balance. She finds gratification in work done well, her hard-earned reputation, and cultivating connection with her colleagues and clients. When asked about her definition of success, she identified brutal self-honesty as key. A personal definition of success is, by its namesake, unique to each individual. There is no one standard, and no other person can help you find it. Being honest with yourself is knowing what works for you and what doesn't, what you want and how you're going to get there, and having clear goals that align with your values and skill set. For Miss Gridley, that manifests as packing as much work as possible into 3 consecutive days and spending a 4th on golfing or family. This is the balance that works for her. Most importantly, a personal definition of success needs the flexibility and personal grace to change several times throughout a lifetime or career. A good personal definition can always be reevaluated. As long as it is grounded in who you are, you need not fear whatever new path the road may take you on. In 2014, Miss Gridley left Gridley and Company LLC in order to maintain her own personal balance of personal life and work. Over the course of that transition, her definition of success changed, and so her life changed with it. Today, she is happy with her work as a partner at AGC and the work-life balance it allows her. This is the sort of clarity, flexibility, and brutal self-honesty Miss Gridley's life exhibits. Jessica Day George is a New York Times best-selling young adult fantasy author, best known for her work on the Castle Glower, Dragon Slipper, and 12 Dancing Princesses series. Her work often carries a touch of whimsy and vibrancy, and dares to dream of something new out of old conventions and well-beloved stories. More than anything, Miss George embodies tenacity and complete confidence in what she wants to do. Miss George has faced numerous obstacles on her path as an author. Her first submitted manuscript was not actually a fantasy story at all, but a mainstream romance novel that promised a career of continued demand, attention, and a relatively lucrative job. After submitting it and receiving suggested edits by the publishers, however, she knew it was not the sort of writing she wanted to pursue. She went back to the drawing board and published her first book, Dragon Slippers, under her own name in 2006. Soon after, her career took off. For the next 13 years, she would publish close to a book a year, become known as a children's and YA fantasy author, and receive the Whitney Award along with other important award nominations, all while continuing educational outreach and raising a family. She was drawn to the elusive enthrallment of further accolades, thriving on the praise and validation of being a prolific writer, of doing the remarkable and pursuing her dreams. But the pace was too much. Her health failed at the start of COVID, and for the second time she was forced to take a step back and reevaluate her goals and approach. She has spent the last 2 years battling chronic pain and depression and pushing back on her writing. But that time has allowed her to reconfigure her approach to her health and her values. Today, as her health recovers and her writing marches on, she remains clear on the story she wants to be telling and is confident in overcoming it. She already knows which book she wants to publish next. Miss George represents someone who intimately knows the struggles of staying true to oneself and finds a path forward regardless. Her aspirations, values, and personal quirks are reflected in her work, lifestyle, and pursuit. Sometimes that is in the unique personality of her writing room, from the pale pink and green of the walls to the plethora of stuffed animals and figurines lining her shelves. Sometimes that is a reflection of how she allocates her time. She values education and gives presentations to young children in schools, as well as offering interviews with high schoolers. Miss George's strength lies in the purity and strength of her creative desire, but also in her flexibility to redefine her path toward success. She knows where she wants to go and is not afraid of finding her own way. Her most current version of success? Doing something that she loves and being happy, healthy, and fulfilled while doing it. Where Miss George is a communicator, Joanna Ostrem is a connector of people. As the co-head of trusts, estates, and appraisals at Christie's auction house, she builds relationships, manages large appraisals, and bridges gaps between external advisors and clients and the inside team at Christie's. Her personal definition of success is to have the trust of her colleagues and associates, and then follow through on that trust. It's giving her best, making things align, and most of all, winning. Miss Ostrem and I spoke at length on several different topics, ranging from societal issues with expectation, personal work habits, and the balance of flexibility and strength. The two things that stuck out most about our conversation are as follows. The first is the theme of self-honesty and application. Miss Ostrem did not start out with a clear idea on what she wanted to become. What she did know was that she thrived in working with people, had a passion for French and art, and loved to win. When the opportunity arrived to do an internship at an auction house in Paris, she was ready to jump on the opportunity and confident enough afterwards to know that she'd found the right fit. Miss Ostrem is clear on the things that she feels are unbalanced or flawed about her life, knows what works best for her and where her blind spots lie, and is able to apply her knowledge about herself to whatever situation she finds herself in. She consistently adapts to the world while staying true to herself. The second is the idea of continued personal evolution. Of all the conversations I had about the struggles and difficulties of building a career, this concept stayed with me as the most hopeful. As human beings, we're constantly growing and learning. Every day is an opportunity to become a little better at what we do, to learn a little more, and to understand ourselves a little better. Commitment and direction over time leads to experience, even when you're not aware of it at the time. In 10 years, you may look back and realize that the things that were once so difficult for you are now much easier to manage, and the problem that feels insurmountable today won't be so difficult tomorrow. Maya Morgan is the most non-traditionally successful woman on this list. She is a writer, a poet, a playwright, a mentor, a teacher of art, writing, and theater. She has no glamorous job or fancy title. Her workplace is in prisons, classrooms, and summer programs. Her personal definition of success is doing something with tangible weight, to make a little bit of difference in the world, in harmony with who she is. When watching her teach at the Sawanian Writers' Conference this past summer, I was struck by the fire in her voice and the reactivity of her students, myself included. Her thought process is clear. She is well-grounded and respected by those she encounters. She finds motivation and personal grounding in the impact of her everyday work. This sort of self-preservation, maintaining motivation through tangible impact, is crucial for her. It illustrates the sort of thoughtful and intentional tenacity important for any kind of aspiring young woman or artist. In a world where there are so many voices clamoring for attention and so many ways to compare ourselves to the awards and achievements of others, it is easy to feel as though one has left no mark. And in a world where there is so much external pressure to chase after money, fame, and productivity, it is easy to feel that one is falling short. So Miss Morgan teaches. She makes connections, she builds community, she chases her own craft, and she looks for all the ways she can help other creatives along the way. By intentionally putting herself in spaces where she can tangibly see and feel the impact of her work, Ms. Morgan continually grounds herself in the kind of success that is most important to her, making a personal difference and being satisfied with that impact. Having that tangible reminder helps her trust in her chosen path and keep moving forward regardless of the difficulties. For her, and for now, her personal success is enough. Ellen Woodbury is a different kind of artist. Originally a Disney animator, she was one of the many artists who created the second renaissance of Disney animation, starting in the mid-1980s. Notable for her work on Zazu from The Lion King and Pegasus from Hercules, she was the first female Disney animator to ever be promoted to supervising animator. That is to say, making her responsible for a main character in a Disney animated feature. She found joy in bringing life to fantastical creatures through research of the relevant animal and fleshing out their personality, movement patterns, and quirks. Her descriptions of that time paint a golden age of creativity, exploration, and excellence, built around community and a common love for magic and animation. But when Disney moved towards computer animation, the love that Miss Woodbury had for animation no longer aligned with her career. In 2005, she stepped away from Disney to find another path. Today, she is a stone sculptor in Loveland, Colorado. She's transferred her animation skills to bringing life to still, three-dimensional figures. Every sculpture she creates has a personal significance, a compelling reason for existence, and the careful execution of a true artist. Her definition of success is to be happy doing the thing she loves and pursue her best while doing it. Miss Woodbury holds a philosophy of excellence, always reaching for her best no matter the project or circumstances. Every phase of her creative pursuit is a gift for the future, to set herself up for what she's going to do next. The ultimate goal is to please herself as both a creator and critic. When confronted with jealousy and pushback in her work, she believes in the most wholesome form of reciprocation, to excel and succeed regardless. Most of all, she holds firm that every dead end is a crossroads, and every low point an opportunity for growth and something new. It is this mindset of constant growth, her profound sense of self as an artist, and her confidence in knowing what she wanted from her career that gave her the courage to change her profession and the mettle to do it successfully. She feels that as long as she has something to say, art of consequence to create, and a meaningful medium in which to work, she will always be on the right path. Ratna Subramaniam is the Global CIO, Chief Information Officer, for MetLife's corporate division, providing products and technologies to enable the corporate functions of the company. She believes in hard work, self-transparency, and the pursuit of continuous growth. Her definition of success is to invest in her values: impactful work, deep connections with family, meaningful friendships, and personal joy. She is intentional about making time and space for each of these values, with a particular emphasis on her family, friendships, and travel. She believes in spending that time now, and continuously striving for personal balance, rather than waiting for a future where work takes up less time. When speaking with her, I was struck by how deeply she was rooted to the cause of supporting other women, especially in the challenges that come with pursuing a robust career. All of the women I interviewed mentioned the difficulties and inequalities women face in such pursuit, including unfair contracts and treatment from their employers, isolation in male-dominated fields, and constant pressure from impossible societal expectations. Studies show that women are held to higher ethics and performance-related standards than men, resulting in under-evaluation, harsher consequences for infractions, and fewer promotions, despite outperformance of male counterparts. As a result, they are required to exceed expectations. Not only must they manage a career, they must also raise a family, find personal space, and be true to themselves, all at once. When faced with these impossible expectations and the challenges of the workplace, Miss Subramaniam believes in giving herself grace in spite of them. An inevitable part of one's journey will be to experience failure, mistakes, poorly handled interactions, and uncomfortable situations. Confidence and growth must start first from within and then manifest in resiliency, results, and self-care. Most of all, she believes in paving the way forward for the next generation. Some examples she included were generational mentor-mentee relationships, investing in women's education in underrepresented fields, and consortiums and other organizations that can help provide support, guidance, and community. Women's pursuit of success is not an individual battle fought alone on a static field, but a mass pursuit being chased by a dense network of women across the world on an ever-changing playing field. Women make a difference for other women. This series of interviews has broadened my understanding of modern successful women. Although vastly different in their paths, personalities, and aspirations, they are all guided by a strong sense of self and forward momentum. I was surprised by the tenacity and individuality of each person I talked with, the clarity of their paths, and their determination to see it through in the midst of career-related, familial, and personal change. While often brutally honest about their struggles and shortcomings, they exhibited remarkable resilience, thoughtfulness, flexibility, and the will to take action. They are not devoid of problems or imperfections. They find success despite them. As an aspiring young woman, these conversations inspired me, opened my eyes to what is possible, and gave me a starting place for finding my own path forward. Finally, they show that none of us are alone. I was deeply moved by the willingness of these incredible women to engage with me and invest in the next generation, with their strong sense of identity, careful balancing of needs, and defined but ever-changing definitions of success. These are truly remarkable women.
What's it like being a young woman in today's world?
I think it comes with a lot of complications. We've got a lot of history that's still shaping up, taking place in the world, but it's also so much easier than I imagine it was 50 years ago. I know that I've got predecessors in the fields that I'm interested in. I know that women have made it before, and they make the process so much easier. So I'm grateful to be born in today's world.
Wow, you have such a diversity of women in this project. Was that intentional?
Absolutely. I wanted to try and find people who had very different definitions of success.
These are very busy women. Who was the hardest one to track down?
Oh, the hardest to track down? Maybe Miss George, because I didn't have a way to contact her in any immediate way. So I sent an email, and I think I waited about a month to hear back from her. It slipped through her inbox, and she found it one day a while later, and it was really fortuitous that it was able to happen.
You tracked down somebody in Colorado. Tell me about that.
Miss Woodbury? Miss Woodbury was a stroke of really good luck. I was thinking about what other kind of artist I could find to broaden the diversity of the fields represented in my project. And I've always had a personal interest in animation, so I looked up articles about famous women in the field of animation. It turned out that she had started a sculpting career in Loveland, Colorado, which is around the area where I grew up in as a kid. And because she's a sculptor, she has a really accessible site that I was able to message her on. She messaged me back, I think, 2 days later, and said, "Hey, I'm really busy right now, but actually I've got a showcase coming up this Saturday. If you're in town, here's 2 tickets. Why don't you stop by?" So I was actually able to meet Miss Woodbury in person. I got to see her sculptures. I got to hear about her process. My grandparents live in Colorado, so we were visiting, and I just happened to match up time-wise. It was a really fantastic time.
What was the experience like for you trying to pursue high-profile women?
Nerve-wracking. You never know what people are going to have time for. You never know what their thought process is. You never know how you're going to come off. So it was both thrilling and terrifying to try to contact these women, to try and talk with them, to be responsible for holding and carrying out an interview, and then to be responsible for portraying their stories in a way that was thoughtful and respectful and a way that was meaningful.
Have you found in your own life that there is a double standard for women?
Yes. I think about maybe the ways that my teachers were, the ways that some of the things that my male teachers could get away with being eccentric about, but it looked or felt differently for the female teachers. Also, I struggle a lot with being on the edge of a lot of fields that are very heavily male-dominant. For 2 years, I've been working on a indie game, an indie video game with a friend. We're both women, and as we're looking to all of these examples of previous indie games that have been developed, as we're talking with gamers, it just becomes so obvious the amount of male-leaning bias. Women are not supposed to be good at video games. They're not supposed to be good at making video games. They don't get interested in coding in the same way at a young age. In fields like that especially, you can really feel that maybe it's not actively oppressive, but it is definitely skewed, and that messes with the way that you think about it, and it affects the likelihood you are to engage in that skill, to learn about those things, and people will make assumptions about your skill level, what you can accomplish, what you know. That can be difficult.
Have you ever considered a male pseudonym?
No. Not in this day and age. I don't want to be ashamed of being a woman. And if I take a male pseudonym, then whatever success I have isn't something that's being attributed to women. I want to be proud of who I am. And I want that to be part of my career. I don't want to hide it away.